Gonna get up. Sneaky himbo time for Dan Graziano. Here's the question.
I feel good about
Who threw the most 40-yard touchdown passes in a season?
It's a guess. All I'm thinking about is 07, Tom Brady, Randy Moss, all those bombs, all those records they set. I'm gonna guess Tom Brady. I don't feel good about it.
All right, Hembo's over there. Time for the reveal. Survey says,
Also Randy Moss.
Randall got it out.
No, that wasn't Randy Moss.
So by proxy, no, that was
Randy.
way. Was that? No.
Was it?
It was Randy Moss.
It was.
So the connector here is Randy Moss. My random guess before I saw the answer to the rundown was going to be Jeff Blake.
Why?
Threw a good deep ball.
Yeah. Did a lot of them get caught?
For a minute they did.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Time now for the hurry up with Dan Graziano. Graz, start things off with the Browns.
All right, talking about an unsettled quarterback situation, not quite Jeff Blake. The Browns wrapping up minicamp this week. A lot of focus on the reps and how they've been distributed among the quarterbacks. Shedeur Sanders getting pretty much fourth in line most of the week. Kenny Pickett getting most of the reps. Joe Flacco, they feel like doesn't need as many. Watch this come training camp, because this, the Browns have said repeatedly, is only about learning and installing. So good work for Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, but they still have to work their way up the depth chart there in Cleveland. TJ Watt was not at Steelers minicamp, looking for a new contract. 1 year left on his deal. His deal is paying him about $21 million this year. The top of the edge rusher market's about $40 million at this point, so he wants more. We'll see how that goes as the offseason goes along. Remember, his last contract extension, he didn't sign until a couple of days before the season. That was, I think, 4 years ago. Time flies. The Bengals dealing with an issue with their star edge rusher, Trey Hendrickson. He was not at minicamp. He's been extremely vocal about wanting a new contract, set to make about $16 million this year. He led the league in sacks, feels like he should be paid a lot more. That contract standoff continues, along with one with their first-round rookie, Shedeur Stewart. The Bengals have some issues up front on defense. Contractually, they got to get worked out.
So before we get to the Bengals big picture, by the end of the show, Hembo's going to get me some Jeff Blake stats, and we're going to show you.
Jeff Blake.
Well, just a side note, Jeff Blake, former teammate of mine, Junior Whopperhands.
See? It all comes back to Jeff Blake at some point. It all
How many
connects.
former Bart Scott quarterback teammates are we in a reference?
I played with a lot of bad quarterbacks. Jeff Blake, not one of them.
There you go. See, all right. So as for the current Bengals, not the mid-'90s Bengals, what's going on there? What are they doing?
They do this to themselves, and because they're an old school organization, they really don't get proactive and ahead. They're kind of like Dallas. They operate old school, and what happens is people outplay their contracts. You talk about Trey Hendrickson. Like, everybody knows that he should be properly compensated. And we understand that, he's 30 years old, but he's giving you 35 sacks in 2 years. Mm-hmm. He's been just as good as Myles Garrett in one of the toughest divisions in all of football. And one of his best abilities is availability. And he's a great guy, high character guy. And they should do the right thing by him. So you can say whatever you want, but when Danielle Hunter got paid, then that's the comp. You look at Myles Garrett, 30 years old, that's the comp. Listen, I know we talk about, I talk about Steve McNair, but 30 is like the new 28. Like, he still has a lot of good years left in him. 3 years, guys train better, they last longer. You can't go off of the old metrics, how players used to diminish after 30. It used to be the kiss of death.
And back to Bart's point, from a strategic standpoint, they waited on T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, paid a massive premium. We know that T.J. Watt will get done, as Graz referenced, probably later than sooner. Micah Parsons is going to get done probably later than sooner. So if I'm Cincinnati and I've had this productive offseason up till now, getting those great receivers signed, go ahead and get Trey Hendrickson done right now. You need him. Shedeur Stewart is a massive question mark at best as a first-round pick who hasn't played. Hubbard retired. For them to get to where they want to go, they need Trey Hendrickson. So to me, the best way to take care of a problem in the locker room and save money is to be proactive and get this deal done.
Tell me this, what do you need if you have an explosive offense, you're up by a lot of points? And
We saw it last year. The defense, we saw it last year.
Well, you need sacks, you need pass rush.
Yeah, right.
They're working backwards.
The Bengals, future year guarantees, give the Bengals front office hives. They can't handle it. For years, they refused to do it. You did a long-term veteran contract with the Bengals. The only guarantee was the signing bonus. They broke that precedent for Joe Burrow, and then they broke it again for Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, who have future year guarantees. Those guys are all 26 when they sign their contract. So the Bengals are sitting here saying, well, 26 is a lot different from 30. We don't want to guarantee money in future years when somebody's maybe past his prime years. You mentioned Danielle Hunter. It was a 1-year extension for a little more than $35 million.
But he was only there for 1 year, and they showed him love. Trey Henderson has been there for 4 years.
And Graz, I understand that. I've been there in the front office, and if that's what you feel, that's fine. Then trade him. You know, then say, hey, we can't find a landing spot. We're going to trade you to Team X. We'll get some draft choices.
He did ask for a trade. Like, he went out and explored that. They couldn't find a team that was willing to give the Bengals what they wanted and also give Trey Hendrickson. They're not the only ones that are hesitant to give Trey Hendrickson a long-term deal.
No. It's plenty of teams that would give Trey Henderson a long-term deal. They don't want to give him a first-round draft pick compensation. And if you think I'm that valuable, then pay me. I don't understand. Like, listen, we've been here before with the Bengals. The Bengals is one of these teams, these organizations that have inconsistent success because they get in front of themselves. They should have paid Jesse Bates a couple years ago. Maybe their defense would be a little better if they did that. They should have paid Trey Henderson years ago when they saw he was trending in the right direction. That way they would have got him under market value.
But here's the risk in all of this. You've got a quarterback in his prime with dominant receivers, and you could be wasting that.
Yeah, and Matt, you know, as Greedy would like to say, here's some sneaky big news. They have a first-time defensive coordinator in Al Golden who came over from Notre Dame, and right now Shamar Stewart's not signed, Trey Hendrickson's not signed. And look, you want to put together, as you said, at a minimum, a representative defense that could close out games. Now, look, it's only mid-June. We have some time here. But if I'm Al Golden, I want to get going in my new scheme. I want these guys here. And to me, if you've done so well with Higgins and Chase, getting Trey Hendrickson figured out to me was the easiest one of them all. And again, once Danielle Hunter was done, I want to go before T.J. Watt. I want to go before Micah Parsons. So I don't know why waiting is going to benefit them.
Below Myles Garrett. Above Crosby. That's it.
Crosby.
It's easy.
Where's the Danielle Hunter factor? Anyway, look,
it's easy.
Fact of the matter is, like, you don't hear about trade talks anymore. I think Trey Hendrickson has made it clear he likes it there, and the Bengals, I think this probably gets worked out. I don't know what the compromise ends up being, but as you mentioned, Mike T, there is time. What's interesting with the Bengals is how we talked earlier about how the Bills prioritize offense in the draft, right? All their first-round picks are defense. It seems like in terms of where they put their money, the Bengals prioritize offense and not defense. They mentioned Jesse Bates. They let him walk. So if you're going to do that, you got to draft like crazy on the defensive side of the ball. And if you draft a guy in a first-round defense, you got to get him signed.
The old Colts were the same way, but they always paid Freeney and Mathis. They make sure they pay those outside guys. Certain positions are at a premium.
Bottom line, though, you've got one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and if you don't get this thing sorted out defensively, you could be wasting one of the great offenses coordinator. They've been to the playoffs. They've been bounced 8 straight years. Let's start with the relationship between Aaron Rodgers and Arthur Smith. Is that enough to get going right away to get them beyond what we've seen them do the last 8 years?
Well, no, because I think there are other issues with the Steelers. I think, the relationship between Aaron Rodgers, what Ben's talking about, they didn't want Russell Wilson to go off script because that caused problems for Russell Wilson and his team the 2 years he was in Denver, his later part of his year in Seattle, or his career in Seattle. So they wanted to make sure that he stayed on script. I don't think that Arthur Smith's going to require that of Aaron Rodgers as much as he did Russell Wilson. Different players, as Roethlisberger said. I think the issue with the Steelers is, are they good enough as a team? Aaron Rodgers is 41. By the time the playoffs start, if they get there, he's going to be 42. Can he stay healthy throughout the season? They have one established receiver, DK Metcalf, who over a 6-year NFL career has averaged 73 catches a year. Their average age on their starting defense is right around 28, which would make it one of the oldest in the league, and they don't even have T.J. Watt in camp yet because of a contract dispute. They got a rookie running back. God help that kid if he blows something in pass protection early on. Right. Like, there are some issues with this team that go well beyond what is Arthur Smith and Aaron Rodgers' relationship going to be.
Mike T, they made this. They could have gone one and done in the playoffs this year with Mason Rudolph at quarterback. But they got Aaron,
actually. They did 2 years ago.
That's right. So they got Aaron Rodgers to get over that one and done 8-year slump.
Yeah, if you want to look at it as the glass is half full, what does Arthur Smith want to do? He wants to be under center play action. Hebo gave me great stats. Over the last couple of years, 41% under center for Arthur Smith, well above league average, 31% play action. So Caleb Johnson, the rookie that Dan was referencing, is really the key here. If they could run the ball effectively, Matt, then yes, I think the Aaron Rodgers move has a chance of working in a really material way, because that's what Aaron Rodgers can do. He could turn his back to the line of scrimmage, play action, and then throw with great accuracy. If they can't run the ball, He is a athletically diminished, soon-to-be 42-year-old quarterback who is not in the offseason. Art, you know the history in our league says when you're not in the offseason program and you're over 40, the odds are massively against you. Again, I give Aaron Rodgers credit for signing and trying to do this, but why not do it 2 months ago? Give yourself the best chance to be successful.
Like I keep repeating, I did it with Steve McNair. We signed him June 6th. We went 13-3, was the #1 seed in the AFC. You talk about that rookie running back. Now, you had a Sean Green, and Sean Green was really a spark for us that
Same
year
school.
when we ran the ball. We know that Iowa could produce those in between the tackles, downhill running, which is exactly what Tomlin wants to do. And I think they'll preserve Aaron Rodgers by running the football. He's not going to be in for pass protection because they have Darnell Washington, they have Fairmouth. They'll go 2 tight ends. They'll let these guys go in and leak him out. They won't have him protections. But, when you talk about Arthur Smith, what Arthur Smith wants, and what he wants is timing. He wants you to play on time. And what was the big issue with Russell Wilson? He didn't play on time. Some of his biggest plays in the moon balls came off-schedule type of plays. Aaron Rodgers is a guy that I think still could play at a high level. You talk about him turning the ball over. Aaron Rodgers, turned the ball over, above his natural average last year, and there was only 11 interceptions on a bad football team. I think this team is a live dog, and I think they can win.